Alrighty, welcome back to another video on the Xiaolong Bear channel. Today's one is going to be very special because it is going to be another one of my guide videos. I've only done one of these before, and that is a time skip Hinto guide. So you guys are in for a treat because today I'll be showing you guys exactly how to get to pro rank in Volleyball Legends. Now this video will cover everything from serving, spiking, setting, bumping, blocking, and all of the mechanics in the game that you should know to hit pro rank. Now, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Okay, so the first thing that you guys should know is about serving. So when you serve, you can either do a normal jump serve like this, where you jump up and you hit the ball, or you can also throw the ball forward and then you run after it and then jump. But if you're a beginner and brand new to Volleyball Legends, I'll recommend you do the standing serve just to begin with, like so, and you hit the ball just like that. But if you're more intermediate or you're a professional level, you can also do jump serves when you are comfortable. So I'll give you a demonstration of what a jump serve and what a forward toss serve looks like. So I'll start with the jump serve. And toss it up, press my down tilt, and that is a jump serve. Now for the forward toss, I'll hold my W button, jump back, and then hit the ball just like that. Now, when you serve, you can choose where you want to put the ball. Most likely, it will be either in the left corner, the middle of the court, or in the right corner. So, depending on where you want to hit, you just aim towards that side, and then you hit the ball just like that. And of course, you can always aim to the middle as well, just like so. And the other trick is sometimes you can choose to do a low power serve. Now, if you do a low power serve, it can sometimes trick your opponents because they are more used to you going into the purple or sometimes in the red, but they won't expect like a orange or yellow kind of power serve. So it'll go much slower than normal. You can have it land relatively closer to the middle, just like that. Okay, next up we have spiking, which is arguably the most important skill to learn in Volleyball Legends, because this is how you win games. This is how you score points. So I'll just start from the very beginning, all of you guys that are just starting out in Volleyball Legends, and I'll keep it very simple, okay? So when you spike in Volleyball Legends, what you want to do most of the time is to hit the ball at its max height. So I'll zoom out for you guys and I'll just spawn the ball. So you can see this is the point where the ball starts to drop down, right? But when you spike, you want to hit just before the ball starts to drop down, like this. You can see, and then bang. Just before it drops down, I spike the ball. When you have that down, you can practice hitting to empty space. So if I just imagine that the ball was actually an opponent and they were standing right here, what I'll do is, when I'm running to the ball, I would look the other way and I would spike that way. But for that to work, I have to hit it at max height, like that. And I can avoid the opponent that is standing right there. So that's the sort of second tip that I have for you guys, which is to spike to empty space on the court. So if they're standing straight, you wouldn't hit to the straight, okay? So you wouldn't hit straight at me, but you would hit somewhere over there, that empty space. All right, now we move on to a mechanic that is vital for Volleyball Legends, the game itself, because it involves changing your character's direction at the very last second before you spike. Now, what is this mechanic, you may ask? Well, this mechanic is known as shift lock. Shift lock is something that all pro Volleyball Legend players will be using in their ranked games. Now, I'll show you an example of a spike without shift lock. So it'll look something like this. So I'll be facing straight, I'll be spiking the ball, and of course it would go straight. Now normally this would be very easy to read because they can tell that I'm looking this way, so that means I'm going to spike this way. But with shift lock, I could run up, I could look that way, and I could spike to the right. So I will have my camera pre-aimed essentially to where I want to spike. So you can see my camera right now is looking straight, but then I can move it to the right, press shift lock after, and then jump like that. So I'll do look to the right, shift lock, jump, and then spike. That is the kind of sequence that you guys want to follow. And that of course, goes for anywhere on the court. Because if the opponent's standing here on the right side, I'll shift lock, look to the left, and bang, spike just like that. So it is something that you guys should get used to when you want to get better at spiking. But don't worry if you can't get it down in the beginning, because it is quite unfamiliar if you're just starting out. So this is a skill that you can practice over time. Now I want to talk about the kind of different spikes you can do in the game. So the first one will be cutting. Now what cutting means is essentially you jump up and you look and spike the ball very, very close to the net. So if you're standing on the right side, you would cut diagonally and you cut to that side, the left side of the court. Likewise, if you're standing on the left side of the court, you'll look right and cut to the right side. I'll show you guys what the cut looks like normally. So I just go like this, bang, and I hit it over there in the far left side of the court. And I'm just cutting. So I'm completely ignoring all the back parts here and going straight for this sharp angle here. Do the same on the right here. So I am holding my side tilt here. So you guys can tell that it's really, really sharp, just like that. I'll go really, really close to the net. All right, next up, we'll have longs, all right, or S-tilts, depending on how you want to call it. Now, what these spikes are essentially hitting to the very back of the court. So either hitting on the back line or just before the back line. So that would look something like this. So I'll be holding my S-tilt, I'll be hitting there to the back line, just like this. You can tell that it's landing just about right here. And that is what you call a long. Longs are good if your opponents are not sort of, you know, close to the backcourt or they're all clustered up over here. That is a situation where you would want to use a long. But don't worry, I will make sure to include some clips of what longs look like in ranked for you guys. Alright, and next up, we'll have down tilts. So we'll have down tilts or forward tilts, depending on how you want to call it. And that is when you jump up and you look down, right? So I don't know if it's obvious, like from here, this angle, and I'm looking down, okay? Look down just like that. So this is a normal, I look down, you can see my character shifts forward. So what does that do? So that essentially means that I can hit the ball straight down, just like that, instead of a no tilt, which would go a bit further out. So that would make it much easier for you to hit closer to the net, which forces your opponents to run up and receive the ball just like that. So that is what down tilts are. Next up, we'll have delayed spiking. So delayed spiking is essentially where you wait for the ball to either drop to a certain height or you can glide along with the ball. So first example is if I were to spawn the ball and I glide into the ball, I wait, and then I spike, just like that. So you can do delay spiking with gliding, just like that. Or you can have the ball that's going straight up, you wait for the drop, and then spike, just like that. Now what that does is it can bait out the opponent's receive. So if they think that you're going to hit the ball at a higher stage, like this, they will have their receive go off just like that. But if you wait until the very last second and hit the ball, it will throw them off quite a bit. And next up, we'll have sort of another tip, which is to ape. So this term refers to when you spike the ball pretty much right after your teammate sets, or sort of like when there's an opportunity for you to ape. So what does that mean? So that essentially means if, let's say, the opponents were, you know, over here, right? They were all clustered up on the left side, and your teammate sort of, you know, is standing over here, and the ball's over here. Instead of setting to your teammate like this and setting him to the left, what you would do is, because the opponents are all the way over here on the left, you would take that opportunity and spike the ball on the right side to end the game. Well, not end the game, but to end the round. Because if you didn't take that opportunity to spike, it would give the opponent some time to run over, run back, and cover their side of the court, whilst your teammate spikes, which would have less opportunity to score. Okay. And then there is also a mechanic known as tilt switching. Tilt switching is a little bit more advanced, so you guys can use this when you have played the game long enough and you feel like you're ready to implement some more advanced techniques. So tilt switching, we have many different kinds, but the most common one is holding your S or W button and switching at the very last second, okay? So what does that mean? So that means if I spawn the ball and I'm holding S and I switch to W, at the very last second you can see that the ball goes down, or I could spawn the ball, hold W and go S tilt, just like that, and go to the far court. Now what does this do? Well, it essentially throws off your opponents who can read your character's sort of direction that they're facing. But if you add in your little tilt switch, then it makes it very hard for them to read just exactly where you're going to spike. And this also works with your side tilts as well. So you can go for here, like the left side tilt, but you can also switch to the D tilt or the right tilt at the very last second. So hold A, last minute I'll switch to D, right before I spike. So that is key for tilt switching. You want to hold a position for as long as you can and then switch to the other position, just like that. All right. And then there's counter spiking. I'll insert a clip of me doing that here. And essentially what that means is you will spike the opponent's spike. So you will jump up, wait for the right timing, and then spike when they have spiked. All right, next up we have setting. Setting, you can either set up like that, or you can set to the side, either left or right, just like that. Those are the most common types of sets. And if you want to control your power on your set, what you want to do is you want to go to your lobby, and right before you try and sort of enter the match, okay, never mind. But you can also control the power of your sets with advanced controls. So if I just did a normal set with full power, it'll go to that distance over there, right? But if I reduce my power and set, I'll barely touch it and it'll land right here. So when would you want to use those sets? Well, essentially when your teammate is close to you. So if they're further away, of course you would use full power. But if they're closer to you, you would use low power. And to control the height of the ball, you would essentially wait until the ball drops a bit lower and set just like that for a perfect height. You would almost never want to set at its peak height just like this, because it is very difficult for your teammates to hit it at such a high height, because their jump is just simply not enough to reach that ball. So that's how you want to set to your teammates. And also you can also do a forward set like this. You set to your teammates and the set goes forward. And of course you can do back sets, but these are very rarely seen in pro ranked because only a select few characters can actually hit a backwards set. And in terms of how you want to set it is you want to face in the direction that you want to set, just like this, and then you can set it to them holding whatever set button that you guys prefer. I could look like this and set over here, or I could, look through here and then set to the right, just like that. Most commonly, you would set just like this while facing the direction that you want to set in. All right, and that is it for setting like a pro. Oh yes, and you can also set with the bump button here. Now, the situations where you would set with a bump is really sort of when your teammate is standing really far from you. A long set would not do the trick, so you would have to bump the ball to them instead. Most likely you'll be bumping diagonally, like this. Now push the ball towards them where they can hit it, like that. Make sure to control the power on your bump so it doesn't go too quickly like this. because your teammates might not have the speed to hit that bump just like that. But you can also bump from backcourt and go forward and give your teammate enough time to hit that ball, like so. Alright, now let's talk about receiving in the game. So when you receive in Volleyball Legends, there's 3 types of ways that you can receive. You can receive either by diving, like that. You can receive by low power bumping the ball like this, or you can receive with the button of the set button, just like this. Now, just starting out, I would recommend that you guys learn the low power bump receiving, because it is one of the more common ways to receive a ball, and it's also the one that gives you the greatest advantage, or gives your teammate the greatest advantage depending on the kind of mode that you want to play. So what does that mean? Well, that essentially means you can change the height of your ball depending on what kind of set you use. Not kind of set, what kind of receive you use. So if you choose to use low power bump receiving, your receive ball will go much higher. But if you do like just a normal set, it'll go just a bit lower than the bump receive, and it'll also fall down a bit slower. And then of course, if you dive, the ball will go straight up just like this, and it will have good height for you to hit the ball. And also, depending on which character you use, your height of the ball will be different. So if you have a high set character like Kageyama, then your set would be much stronger than your bump, and that would force the ball to be received sort of all the way up in the air like this, as compared to just using the bump. But it's also sort of like a preference thing. So if you think that, you know, you have good reaction time, or like really good reaction time, you can use the set receive, because that means if you were to receive, your teammate spikes and the opponent quickly spikes back, you'll have enough time to set it up again, and that allows for consecutive receiving. Bumping is good for sort of more general situations, apart from those, you know, like consecutive spike, because bumping does require you to hold it down and then release to try to receive the ball. Otherwise, that is the sort of advised receiving way, which is bumping. And also the way, or the direction that your character faces is where the ball will eventually be going. So if you receive and you look towards the back, then the ball would float backwards like that. And that is it for receiving like a pro. Okay, and here are some other cool mechanics that you can use to help you get to pro in ranked. The first one is the set block, and that's essentially when the opponent spikes the ball like this, and you catch it by jump setting like that, and you put the ball in the air like so. And the second mechanic is a back block, where the ball is super close to the net. Oops, super close to the net. You back block to your side, and that will not count as a touch. So normally in volleyball rounds, you can only touch the ball 3 times, but if you use a back block like this and sort of pass the ball to your opponents, to your teammate, then you'll have a much better chance to score, because you'll have 4 touches, 1 extra touch. And this is commonly used by pros in high ranked modes such as Legend, Master, or even high diamonds. So be sure to use these if you want to hit a pro rank. Alright, now let's talk about which of the many different modes is the easiest to hit pro rank in. Now, in my personal opinion, the easiest mode to hit pro rank in is the normal 1v1 mode. Now, this is because 1v1s have much quicker matchmaking than all the other modes, because it only requires 2 players. 1v1s are also easier because there's a lot of text that you can do in 1v1. And as long as you don't make a mistake in the game, you can pretty much always secure a victory. So as long as you play well, you defend well, and you can read your opponents well, 1v1 will be the easiest mode for you to get your first pro. Now, moving on to 2v2 mode. The 2v2 mode, in my opinion, is between easy and hard. Now, why do I say easy? It's easy because, again, it's got quicker matchmaking because you only need 4 players. And 2v2 is the mode that is played the most in the game. And to show you guys why is because when you go to the leaderboards here, you will see that 2v2 elo is often the highest out of all the leaderboards in the game. Well, apart from like 1v1s, but 2v2s are still probably the most played game mode in the game. So if you want really quick queues and sort of, a good chance to hit pro, this is the game mode that you should play. But why is it hard? It's hard because of just how many players there are that are playing. So that means you will have a higher chance to face good or highly skilled players. So I would recommend you to play at the later part of the season. So don't play when the season's just beginning, but play later on when all the pros have hit the pro rank. They will be in a different sort of matchmaking to you because of how the new ranking system is. So I would recommend that you guys play later on in the season if you want to have the best chance to reach pro. And for the other game modes, such like 3v3, 3v3 for me is a bit harder, but also easy at the same time. Easy in the sense that you can get carried in this mode because you'll have 2, let's say, really good players. They can carry you to pro, and it wouldn't really matter in terms of your individual skill level. 4v4, again, this is a bit harder because not that many people play 4v4, and 6v6. I barely know anybody that plays 6v6. So 4v4 and 6v6 are arguably the hardest to reach pro in because of just how hard the matchmaking is. So my recommendations would be to go for 2v2, 3v3, and of course 1v1s. And also take advantage of the limited game modes that are released each season, because for this season, season 12, the mini 1v1 has been a very easy mode to reach pro in, really because of the rules that are put in place. So the best chances, listen to my advice. Okay, and last but not least, I'll give you guys a few general tips that you should follow if you want the absolute best chance of hitting pro. So if you're playing in a mode other than 1v1, my advice would be to find a good teammate and make sure that you guys have voice chat so you guys can talk to each other in the game, so you won't be sort of confused as to what your teammate wants in terms of setting, because sometimes they may ask for an up set, they may ask for a side set, or they could even ask for a forward set. And if you're in voice chat, this whole process becomes much easier. The second tip would be to play at times with good matchmaking. So this would look something like the afternoon or the evening, and this does vary depending on where you live. At least for my region, most players are active during the afternoon or the evening, so be sure to play during those times if you want the best chance of getting a queue. And then my third tip is to make sure that you have good ping. If your ping is under 50, I would say you have good ping. Anything higher would be a bit harder, but the maximum that you sort of should not go over would be 100. If you're over 100 ping, then it will be very hard for you to reach pro because there will be sort of lag, the ball may, sort of tweak for you in the air. So I would not recommend playing on 100 ping. And number 4 is to play within your region. So what do I mean by that? Well, Volleyball Legends is dictated by regional matchmaking. So that means if you live in an area like North America, you should really only be queued up with people that also live in the same area of North America. Now this also goes for other regions such as Europe, Asia, Oceania, South America, places like those. So if you were to find the teammate, make sure that they are from your region, because otherwise one of you guys will have a huge ping difference compared to the other, depending on which region you decide to queue in. So I would recommend for you to play with those that are located in your region.